James Wiseman, the James Wiseman era in Golden State is over. He played just 60 games for the Warriors after he was the #2 overall pick just in his third year in Golden State. Now part of a three-way trade with the Pistons and the Hawks, who lands Saddiq Bey in the deal. Golden State picks up Kevin Knox and 5 second-round picks from Atlanta. Why did Golden State ultimately decide to punt on the James Wiseman project? We told you a little while ago that the Warriors traded out James Wiseman for 5 second-round picks. They just moved those 5 second-round picks for Gary Payton II, which means
they're getting the band back together.
They just traded James Wiseman for Gary Payton II.
Man, only way that deal makes sense to me if they would have traded him for Gary Payton the senior. You know what I mean? Like, I just, that doesn't really resonate. I understand it's a money-saving move.
Yeah.
But, man.
But player for player.
The number 2 pick several seasons later turns into
Gary Payton II.
Gary Payton II. I don't love that. I don't. I know you feel differently, but I don't love it.
No, I don't feel differently. I just think from an organizational perspective, when you're Bob Myers in the front office in Golden State, who's done a better job than any organization in the league over the last decade, you have to look at the sunk cost. It didn't work out. We made a mistake, but you still have Steph, Clay, Draymond, Andrew Wiggins, a championship contending team. So you have to move on from your mistakes. And it's being reported just here in the last few seconds that Kevin Knox is getting rerouted to Portland in this deal. Kevin Knox was going from Detroit to Golden State in the deal where James Wiseman went back to the Pistons. Yeah. Now it looks like Knox is going to end up in Portland. So basically, you replace a guy in Knox's salary slot and his production with Payton. The money's about the same, but you get a guy who helped you win a championship a year ago. And
right.
I think for the Warriors, this is signaling there's maybe not a big splash out there. We'll see if they can pull a rabbit out of the hat with OG Anunoby or somebody else in the last 7 minutes. But if not, you at least solidify your depth. You bring back a guy in the locker room who you know contributed and played a role in Payton and helped you defensively to a team that has championship aspirations.
If Wiseman starts to develop in Detroit and starts to basically reinvigorate his career, then it'll be like, oh my God, what were they doing? They gave up on him too early. So only time will tell who really won this deal, but we have to see.
But the window in Golden State is only going to be open for so long. Any even incremental piece, to Ryan's point, that you can add to potentially reach the NBA Finals again. They got to get Steph Curry healthy again, and you know they've had injuries. The younger guys haven't performed them maybe the way they would like them to, but any little thing that they can do, there's an argument to be made that it's the right move.
Championship windows close very quickly in this league, especially when your star players, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, are in their mid-30s. Draymond Green is approaching free agency. Are they going to continue to pay him? And also set records in terms of luxury tax, repeater tax. Joe Lacob has spent like no other owner in the league over the last decade, and they've won at the highest levels. So you have to be realistic about where you are, and you realize you have a generational player, an all-time great in Steph Curry. You do whatever you can as an organization to maximize his prime. And, kudos to Golden State for admitting they made a mistake with Wiseman, moving on, and putting the best team around Steph and Klay that they can. Because as we know, we saw last night with Phoenix, the West got a lot better with KD going to the Suns. So in the next 51 seconds before 3 o'clock Eastern, you need to get all parties involved on the phone with the league office. So if it's a 2-team deal, a representative from each team. If it's a multi-team deal, you need somebody from every team.
With the league.
With the league office, and the league will read off the exact terms of the trade. And if there's any disagreement, you need to figure it out before the clock ticks till 3 o'clock. If it's 3 o'clock and 1 second and teams don't agree, the league says no deal, it's off. So that's what's going on now. Teams are trying to get in the queue, touch base with the league office to get the deal in. And I'll give you one here, Matt. Now we're within 15 seconds. We're counting down to the deadline. It's been reported that the Warriors have a lot of interest in OG Anunoby from Toronto. And I've looked at what would work, and this would be a big deal, I think, both ways. My math tells me that Golden State needs to send out about $13.8 million to bring back OG Anunoby's salary in a deal. So one deal that would work, and it would be a big one, would Golden State trade Jonathan Kuminga, Dante DiVincenzo, and Moses Moody. They traded James Wiseman earlier today. Would they trade their other 2 young prospects? Kuminga's in a rotational player, Moody not as much, and DiVincenzo for OG Anunoby, who's a good role player, a good wing defender, under contract for multi-years. That deal works financially, and I think there'd be some interest on both sides to at least discuss it now that we've ticked past 3 o'clock. We'll see if it happens or not, but Golden State doesn't have a ton of pieces to make a deal work. That's one that I think makes some sense.
I'm hearing the same thing, that they're very interested in OG Anunoby and trying to make something work. We'll find out shortly if that came through or not, if they were able to do a deal.